so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of these islands and of those whose interest you have committed to our charge. And this we beg in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. May the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ and the love of God and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us all evermore. Amen. Please be seated. Item number 2, the confirmation of minutes. Senator Michelle Simmons, the Vice President of the Senate, you have the floor.
Good morning, Madam President.
Good morning.
Madam President, I move that the minutes of the meeting of Wednesday, the 8th of December, 2021 be taken as read.
Is there any objection to that motion? No objection.
Madam President, I move that the minutes of Wednesday, the 8th of December, 2021 be confirmed.
Is there any objection to that motion? No objection. The minutes are confirmed. Thank you, Senator Michelle Simmons.
You're welcome.
Item number 3, messages. Mr. Clark, are there any?
Yes, Madam President. We have a message from the Honorable House of Assembly. The message reads, to the Honorable the President and members of the Senate, the members of the Honorable House of Assembly desire to extend to the President and members of the Senate our greetings and best wishes for Christmas and the New Year. And that's signed by the Speaker, the Honorable Dennis P. Lister, JP, MP, and that is dated 10th December 2021. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Sumner. Item number 4, the reports of committee. Are there any reports of committee? Hearing none, we'll move on. Item number 5, announcements. Are there any announcements? Senator O.K. Darrow, Junior Minister for the Cabinet Office, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I hereby present for the information of the Senate the Commission of Inquiry Report 2021 on historic land losses in Bermuda. Senators may access copies of the report on their tablets and on the Parliament website.
Thank you, Senator Darrow. Item number 6, notices of motion. Are there any notices of motion? Senator Darrow.
Thank you again, Madam President. Madam President, I hereby present for the consideration of Senate the draft order entitled the Tourism Investment, the Lauren at Pink Beach, Order 2021, proposed to be made by the Minister responsible for tourism with the written agreement of the Minister of Finance on the provisions of Section 5 of the Tourism Investment Act 2017. And I give notice that at a later point in the meeting, I will move that the said draft order be approved.
Thank you, Senator Darrow. I believe there is a second one for Senator Hudson. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I hereby present for the consideration of Senate the draft order entitled the Public Health COVID-19 Emergency Extension Number 7 Order 2021, proposed to be made by the Minister responsible for health under the provisions of Section 107A of the Public Health Act 1949. And I give notice that at a later point in this meeting, I will move that the said draft order be approved.
Thank you, Senator Hudson. Item number 7, petitions. There are none. Item number 8, statements. We have the first statement in the name of Senator Ariana Hudson, Junior Minister for Labor. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I rise in this honorable house today to provide you with an update of what the Ministry of Labor has accomplished over this past year. Madam President, the Ministry of Labor has worked hard to secure Bermuda's success by introducing policies that address the impact of the global crisis. The ministry has progressed policies to strengthen the fundamental principles and rights in the workplace, enhance social protections, and foster economic growth. In short, the ministry is focused on promoting jobs, protecting Bermudians, and responding to the needs of the economy. Throughout the past year, departments within this ministry have worked hard to ensure that we ease the economic burden of those in need, found the right formula to achieve economic activity and growth, kept families together, provided opportunities for job seekers to achieve personal satisfaction, and preserve jobs and implemented laws that support progress in the workplace. Madam President, the impact of the global pandemic has not been easy on any of us. As we work our way back to a place where we can all prosper in an effort to assist our people, particularly our most vulnerable, the Ministry of Labor has implemented and extended the Supplemental Unemployment Benefit Fund from April 2021 to November 2021 and has provided approximately $1,054,633 in benefits to assist those displaced from the workforce as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Provided over $5 million in financial assistance to unemployed able-bodied individuals, as well as those underemployed from April 2021 to November 2021. Provided over 400 Bermudians with information on the various services, programs, and initiatives offered in response to the Minister's appeal for unemployed Bermudians to register at the Department of Workforce Development. Expanded financial assistance benefits for an additional 2 years to over 100 individuals and families who would have timed out of support in 2021. Tabled the Wage Commission's report containing recommendations on a minimum wage. This brings Bermuda one step closer to implementation of a much-needed minimum wage in alignment with the living wage. Undertook stakeholder feedback on the government's consultation paper for a proposed unemployment insurance fund and developed a roadmap for the implementation of an unemployment insurance scheme. This will enable a phased implementation in 2023 that will ensure adequate protections for unemployed workers. Madam President, to strike the right balance to achieve economic success while also ensuring our people benefit, the Ministry of Labor has implemented the Economic Investment Certificate and Residential Certificate Policy, entitling a person to reside in Bermuda. To date, this has generated over $32 million through direct investment in the Bermuda economy. Implemented the one-year work from Bermuda policy, which yielded over 900 residents and generated over $23 million into the economy. While also referred to as permission to reside on an annual basis, permission can be obtained for periods of up to 5 years. As of November 2021, 206 work from Bermuda certificate holders remain on the island. Increased visitor stays, permitting visitors to remain in Bermuda an additional 90 days for a total of 180 days. Madam President, the family unit plays a crucial role in the social development of our community. To keep families together, the Ministry of Labor has implemented the mixed status family legislation, which addressed the long-standing discrepancy where some members of the same family were Bermudian, but others were not. Removed the requirement for an affidavit of domicile for children born to Bermudian parents while overseas, making it easier for those children to obtain Bermudian status. Amended the eligibility requirement for permanent resident certificates, enabling individuals to be granted permanent resident certificates if they have resided in Bermuda for 20 or more years, are non-Bermudian parents of children with Bermudian status who have resided in Bermuda for 15 or more years, and if they are children of second-generation permanent resident certificate holders. Madam President, persons who are satisfied with their growth tend to achieve higher productivity in the workplace. To provide a sound foundation for those seeking employment or reemployment, the Ministry of Labor has implemented the Personal Employment Plan Initiative designed to help financial assistance recipients to secure employment. This is a joint initiative between the Department of Financial Assistance and the Department of Workforce Development. Implemented phase 1 of the 2-phase national reemployment strategy aimed at reducing unemployment. Phase 1 included the following education, training, and employment services to help individuals secure employment. Administered various face-to-face, on-the-job, online, virtual learning, webinars, internships, apprenticeships, and trainee programs in which over 650 persons participated. Secured part-time or full-time employment for 70 individuals as a result of these training initiatives, and facilitated employment for 747 unemployed Bermudians through the Department of Workforce Development's Bermuda Job Board referral process. We implemented the graduate training program, which provided paid internships and career readiness training for 2 cohorts of graduates, 15 in the first cohort and 10 in the second. This program will assist young Bermudians in gaining work experience often needed to fully enter the workforce. Provided a total of $350,000 in scholarships to support 43 Bermudians to attend local educational programs and overseas tertiary education. This demonstrates the importance of education and this government's commitment to ensuring Bermuda's young people complete their respective courses of study. Continued the college summer jobs program with 75 participants and the high school jobs program with 52 participants. This demonstrates this government's commitment to providing job opportunities for our young people while they continue to pursue their educational goals. Madam President, preserving jobs and implementing progressive labor laws require collaboration between government and the private sector. While building a foundation of trust to bolster worker security, the Ministry of Labor has legislated the Trade Union and Labor Relations Consolidation Act 2021, which further strengthens the Employment Act and ensures workers' rights are protected in the workplace. Additional rights include the following: a requirement for employers to provide a written policy against bullying and sexual harassment in the workplace and advise how it can be accessed, a requirement for employers to provide employees with a midway performance review during their probationary period to identify areas for improvement, expanded bereavement leave to include grandparents, great-grandparents, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, a requirement for employers to pay any wages and other remuneration or benefits owed to the employee upon termination within 7 days or at the next interval that the employee would have been paid, and a requirement for employers to provide their employees with a meal break of at least 30 minutes after the employee has worked continuously for 5 hours. We placed a moratorium for new work permits on 41 additional occupations for a total of 53, which began in November 2020 and extended to January 2022. This enabled us to create more opportunities in the local job market for Bermudians. Enhanced scrutiny of work permit applications to ensure that capable and qualified Bermudians were not passed over for job opportunities. Madam President, the cumulative effect of the above policies and initiatives have enabled Bermuda to be better positioned to overcome the many challenges that lay before us. As we build upon these initiatives, we look forward to strengthening Bermuda further throughout the upcoming year, and we'll take further steps to continue to build a better Bermuda for all. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Ariana Hudson, Junior Minister for Labor. The second statement is in the name of Senator Curtis Richardson, Road Safety Council. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. The Road Safety Council Designated Driver Campaign. Madam President, it is a sobering fact that 16 lives have been lost to road traffic accidents in 2021. I extend my condolences to the families and friends grieving the untimely death of a loved one. Madam President, through to New Year's Eve celebration, holiday parties will be taking place, which is why the Bermuda Road Safety Council, their slogan is for December is Designate Your Driver. Madam President, a designated driver is crucial for everyone to enjoy a safe holiday season. Designated drivers are an integral part of keeping roads safe, and by educating friends and family, we can work together to lower the number of accidents and deaths. Madam President, an alarming trend observed by the Council is persons choosing the person who seems least intoxicated of the group to get behind the wheel after a night of drinking instead of a completely sober driver. That is why it is crucial to designate a driver before any drinking occurs. There will be an increase in events and parties where alcohol will be consumed in the holiday season. The Council encourages all event planners, organizers, and hosts of large events to incorporate a transportation plan. For assisting with implementing a transportation plan for your event, organizers should, in advance of the event, email the Bermuda Road Safety Council at bdarc@gmail.com or contact the road traffic officer at 707-2349. Again, you can contact the road safety officer at 707-2349. Madam President, we want everyone to have a safe holiday. I take this opportunity to remind the public that if you cannot secure a designated driver, remember that there are other ways to get home safe without getting behind the wheel, such as hiring a taxi, limousine, minibus, using HomeSafe, or calling a family member or friend to come pick you up. Additionally, I would like to acknowledge CATA for hosting their annual Let Us Drive initiative, which commenced on the 9th of December. The program runs from outside the LOAM building on the corner of Burnaby Street and Reed Street in Hamilton between 12:15 a.m. and 12:45 a.m. The service can take up to 24 people a night and will run on the 16th, 17th, and 18th of December, the 30th of December, and New Year's Eve. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Curtis Richardson, Junior Minister of Transport. And the third statement is in the name of the, sorry, get my papers in order here. Sorry, Senator Darrell, the Junior Minister of Education. You have a statement. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, this morning, I share with my colleagues and the community at large the work that will be undertaken for the establishment of a History and Legacy Committee. Madam President, many of us are walking on the paths that have been tread for us by those that came before us. Our parents, grandparents, educators, political and community leaders, some of whom were groundbreakers, and most of whom were average citizens. Their efforts to develop the Bermuda that we live in today have created opportunities for us to continue to improve Bermuda so that we can make our nation better and so that we can all thrive within our community. As we move forward with education reform, we know that change in education is not only desired, but is a prerequisite to designing the kind of public education system that inspires confidence and meets the needs, the educational, social, and other related needs of each and every learner. Madam President, when important things are to be gained, like better education for each and every child, it is critical that we keep in mind what we do not want to lose. These changes, which are the government's response to the community calls for change, have also brought long-standing issues and concerns about Bermuda's history and legacy to the forefront. From lived experiences, discussions with our family members, concerns for our constituents, and from prior debates in the House, we know that our country's history is a difficult and painful one, especially for those of our parents' and grandparents' generations. It is rich with examples of our great history of building and trades, seafaring and shipbuilding, and developing and shaping young minds and leaders. However, it's also a painful and difficult history of racial segregation, separate and unequal schools, and class stratification. Along with my previous legislators in education, I recognize that decisions have been made in decades past that continue to have profound implications on current and former students of the Bermuda public school system and Bermudian society. Many members know about the vital history of schools, such as the Bermuda Technical Institute, Howard Academy, Warwick Secondary School, Prospect School for Girls, the Robert Crawford School, and others that have closed or been repurposed in decades past. Madam President, during the recent consultation on parish primary schools, we were reminded and reminded and reminded again about these critical issues of the need to teach, learn, know, understand, and appreciate our educational history and legacy. In addition to listening and reading the numerous submissions from community members, I also received many messages of support, and the minister met directly with community members passionate about protecting and preserving the history and legacy of schools. Through this process, it became evident that despite very good intentions and the imperative to bring about change for young people, a response was needed that met the moment of change that we are undertaking. Madam President, prior to making a single decision regarding parish primary schools, it was resolved that these concerns had to be addressed. As we listened and considered the concerns, mostly of elders with deep connections to particular schools and school communities, it was evident that while there have been significant contributions made to documenting and understanding Bermuda's educational history, more was and is needed. Therefore, we committed to establishing the History and Legacy Committee to engage with the community and to document, commemorate, and preserve Bermuda's educational and school history and legacies. Madam President, of course, this effort could be easily misjudged as just another government committee being thrown at a problem. I can assure you and the members of the Senate that this indeed is not that. This past summer, the minister met directly with passionate and committed community members, including the adult children of renowned educators, current and former educators, and parents of current students, many of whom are also public school alumni. The minister met with technical officers of the Ministry of Youth, Culture, and Sport, historians, researchers, and community and cultural leaders to share feedback from the parish primary consultation, to engage in deep discussions about the history and legacy of education in schools, and to obtain input on the development of the History and Legacy Committee. This assistance helped to shape the vision and design of the History and Legacy Committee. Madam President, subsequently, the minister has initiated the work of the History and Legacy Committee with the appointment of the chairperson, Mrs. Heather Whalen. Mrs. Whalen will steer and oversee the work of the History and Legacy Committee. She has been working with members of the Ministry of Education team towards the formal establishment of the History and Legacy Committee. This preparation work includes creating a small short-term working group, known as the working group going forward, to develop the terms of reference that the eventual History and Legacy Committee will use once it is fully established and constituted. Madam President, the working group's membership consists of Mrs. Heather Whalen, who is a retired Director of Community and Cultural Affairs. During her professional career, she spearheaded a number of international events and served as the head of the delegation of Carafesta and was a member of the team organizing the Smithsonian Folklife Festival. She is the co-author of Bermuda's first National Cultural Heritage Policy. Well known to members of the legislature, Ms. Whalen has co-hosted several ceremonies for the convening of the legislature and has also served as a member of the committee of the to commemorate the 400th anniversary of Bermuda's House of Assembly. In addition to previously serving on several government committees, she is a member of the Board of Education and the interim director of Age Concern. Mrs. Whalen began her career in education, teaching history and civics at the Berkeley Institute, where she also served as head of the Social Studies Department. Mrs. Alberta Dyer Tucker is retired from public service, having served in numerous roles, including the Assistant Cabinet Secretary in Policy and Senior Education Officer for Early Education, among many other roles. She was also one of Bermuda's inaugural policy analysts and later co-led the Cabinet Office's intern program, which helped launch the careers of many young Bermudians. Immediately before her retirement, Mrs. Dyer Tucker helped organize a commission of inquiry, also serving as commission clerk. She later served as clerk to the Parliamentary Joint Select Committee, inquiring into the events of December 2nd, 2016. She also briefly worked for the Commission of Inquiry into Historic Land Loss in Bermuda. She is also a former educator, having begun her career as a classroom teacher at the Victor Scott Primary School. Mr. Adrian Lodge has worked in the IT industry for over 20 years. He has recently completed a privacy officer and cybersecurity course with a passion for always learning and improving. Adrian is the founder of local software development company Supertone Limited. He has led the BDC's Startup Weekend for Entrepreneurs, has volunteered at the annual hackathon, and has taught WordPress. He also designs mobile apps and games for Bermuda Island Games, a local business he started to promote Bermudian culture digitally. Adrian holds a master's degree in information technology management from the University of Liverpool. Ms. Tanisha Otley is a Ministry of Education policy analyst and will provide research and secretary support to the working group. Having reviewed and analyzed all of the submissions from the parish primary school consultation process, she has developed a deep and broad insight into the issues raised by community members regarding the history and legacy of schools and education. She is also a public school alumni, having graduated from Cedar Bridge Academy. She has obtained an associate's degree in liberal arts from the Bermuda College and a bachelor's degree in social policy from the University of Lincoln in the UK. Ms. Otley is currently studying toward a master's degree in public policy and management from the University of York in the UK. Dr. Theodore Francis is an assistant professor of history at Houston-Tillotson University, a historically black college and university in Austin, Texas. He teaches African American, Caribbean, and United States history courses. His research focuses on race, resistance, and Black travel in the African diaspora, particularly the Caribbean and the Americas. In 2020, Dr. Francis served as an expert witness for the government of Bermuda's Commission of Inquiry into historical land laws. He completed an extensive research report on the Tuckerstown portion of these land losses. Dr. Francis is the co-author of Prudent Rebels, Bermudians and the First Age of Revolution with Dr. Clarence Maxwell and Alexandria Meir Kessler. His current book manuscript explores African-American tourism to Bermuda during the island's desegregation movement. Mr. Randy Scott is a retired parliamentary registrar, having served in this leadership role for many years after working as the assistant parliamentary registrar. After teaching for a period at the Robert Crawford School, Mr. Scott also worked in the Department of Statistics for more than 20 years. He is alumni of the West End Primary School and attended Sands Secondary School, having completed his high school education in the United States at Aaron Prep School in New York City. He attended Central State University in Wilberforce, Ohio, and graduated with a bachelor's degree in history education. Dr. Keto Swan is a professor of African American and African diaspora studies at Indiana University, Bloomington, the author of Black Power in and the forthcoming Pasca Black, Oceania, Anti-Colonialism, and the African World. His scholarship is focused on 20th century Black internationalism. In 2020, Dr. Swan served as an expert witness for the government of Bermuda's Commission of Inquiry into Historic Land Losses. He submitted a report on the St. David's U.S. baseland section of these land grabs. He is a recipient of several awards, including the fellowships of the National Endowment for the Humanities, the American Council of Learned Societies, Harvard University's Radcliffe Institute, the Wilson International Center for Scholars, Penn State's Humanities Institute, and Australia's University of Queensland. He is also the founder of Drink Well, a professional consultancy agency. Dr. Rhonda Wood Smith is a senior manager of the Tourism Regulation and Policy Unit. She previously served as a senior policy analyst in the Ministry of Economic Development and Tourism and as the acting director of telecommunications. Ms. Wood Smith has an extensive background in education. She began as a math teacher at the Berkeley Institute, graduated to the position of Year 3 supervisor, and culminated her career at the Berkeley in 2003 as head of the mathematics department. Ms. Wood Smith served as the Bermuda Education Strategic Team project manager and was a member of the Hopkins Review Team led by Professor David Hopkins. She later served as the Chief Operations Officer of the Interim Executive Board of Education and the Board of Education, respectively, and is currently a member of the Board of Governors of the Berkeley Institute. Madam President, the working group's membership consists of a breadth of academic, technical, and practical knowledge and experience that is needed to plan and prepare for the work of the History and Legacy Committee. Under the direction of the History and Legacies Committee's chairperson, the working group will develop the terms of reference for the History of Legacy Committee. They will identify the types of professional and community rules and skill sets necessary for the History and Legacy Committee. They will identify potential work streams and supporting organizational structures and processes for the History and Legacy Committee project. Examples include research, data collection, community engagement, and communication. They will also develop a provisional project plan outline with milestones. They will make recommendations on the likely duration of the short to medium term phases of the History and Legacy Committee project. They will make recommendations on the likely required time to contribution of the History and Legacy Committee members for the project. And they will complete and present the terms of reference by March 31st, 2022. This two-part process of creating a working group to support the introduction of the committee has worked well before. This approach was taken regarding the School Reorganization or SCORE committee that allowed technical and community expertise from outside the Ministry of Education to be utilized to develop the groundwork for the larger body of work to be undertaken. Madam President, following the development of the terms of reference and the completion of these other responsibilities, some or all of the members of the working group will transition to the History and Legacy Committee. Therefore, other members of our community will also have the opportunity to serve on the History and Legacy Committee once it's formally and fully established in early 2022. The History and Legacy Committee will use the terms of reference as a framework to guide and carry out the longer-term work with the ultimate responsibility of documenting Bermuda's educational history and making recommendations on the best ways to preserve, honor, and commemorate the history and legacy of education in Bermuda. I extend thanks to those persons who have made contributions to the development of the History and Legacy Committee. The interest, passion, and dedication of those committed to the documentation and celebration of our educational history will help with the necessary changes needed to the public education system and make our understanding of our past educational achievements much richer in the process. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Owen Darrell, Junior Minister of Education. Now, moving on to item number 9 on our agenda, introduction of bills. There are none. Item number 10, the first reading of public bills. The following public bills have been received from the Honorable House of Assembly and are read for the first time. Their titles are, respectively, the Insurance Amendment Act 2021, the Companies Amendment and Validation Act 2021, the Bermuda Monetary Authority Amendment Number 2 Act 2021, and the Customs Tariff Amendment Number 2 Act 2021. And Senators, these bills will be taken up during today's session on the orders of the day. Item number 11, the first reading of private bills. There are none. Item number 12, question and question period. Senators, we will now entertain questions on the statements that were given earlier. The first one being in the name of the Senator Ariana Hudson. Would any senator care to speak on this bill, the Ministry of Labor's year-end review? Senator Ben Smith, you have the floor.
Thank you and good morning, Madam President.
Good morning to you.
First of all, I'd like to thank the Junior Minister for providing this statement this morning. I'd like to start on page 7 of the statement where it speaks to facilitating 747 unemployed Bermudians being employed. Would the Junior Minister be able to provide a breakdown of whether that is full-time employment, part-time employment, just if we could get some idea of whether these 747 people have continued to be employed, which would obviously be a positive for Bermuda, knowing that we were able to move people from unemployed to employed, just if we could get some information around what that looks like. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Ben Smith. Any other senator care? Senator Michelle Simmons, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to go to page 4 of the statement and ask about the much-needed minimum wage. It says in the statement that this brings Bermuda one step closer to the implementation of a much-needed minimum wage in alignment with a living wage. I appreciate the statement. My question is, when will we see next steps in terms of the implementation of, I agree, a much-needed minimum wage and also a much-needed living wage in this country? We've talked about it a lot, and I'm happy to see that we're moving forward, but it would be very helpful to have some idea of the timeline. That's my first question. May I ask another,
You
Madam
certainly may.
President?
Carry on, Senator Michelle Simmons.
My second question refers to page 8, and that is the implemented or the graduate training program which was implemented. It's great to see that there were 15 people in the first cohort of that graduate training program and 10 in the second. I hope that that is the beginning, because there's no definite commitment in the statement to that program continuing. But I'm hoping that the junior minister will be able to assure us that the graduate training program will continue. I also would ask to hear if there are graduate trainees currently in the program. So my question's in two parts. Is it continuing? And if so, how many graduate trainees are in the program now? Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Michelle Simmons. Would any other senator care to speak? Senator Robin Tucker, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. My questions are very similar to what my senator colleagues have already asked. I would like to know again on page 8 as it relates to the graduate training program. In the first cohort, being 15 graduates, I would like to know if any of those graduates have already received full-time employment. My second question, on the same page, as it relates to point number 5, the college summer jobs program. I would like to know how many of the 75 participants were assigned to their area of study. Just looking at it from the point of view of course, education and educational experiences and being able to work in areas specific to the individual, to the college or the university level students' area of career interest. So just wondering how many of those students are actually involved in the area that they have interest in. And similarly, in that same section, it speaks to high school students and the high school jobs program. I'm interested to know whether the high school students or the high schools are consulted when the department or the initiative, the summer employment initiative is being promoted. Because I'm just wondering whether the guidance counselors or the schools and the department work together to help the high school students to identify areas of internship where they could possibly go to begin to get exposure to their career interests. So I'm just wondering if there's any collaboration there, or if it's, I know that when I was a high school student, and when my children were, they were looking for summer employment and they were basically just assigned wherever. So I'm wondering if that process has been streamlined to make it a lot more focused. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, and there's your 3 questions. Thank you. Would any other senator Yes. Yes, you've asked 3 questions. I'm just confirming that. Senator White, you have the floor. John White.
Thank you, Madam President. Reference was made to the supplemental unemployment benefits, which I think was very timely and very helpful for so many Bermudians. There was also a story in the media a couple months ago where I think the Minister of Finance referenced certain payments that were made to individuals who weren't eligible, who would actually return to work. And from memory, it was a pretty substantial material amount. So I'm just wondering if there's a progress update that can be provided to the senators on how much of those funds have been successfully claimed back by government. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator John White. Would any other senator care to ask questions on this statement? Hearing none, then it's over to you, Senator Ariane Hudson.
Thank you, Madam President. With respect to Senator Ben Smith's question about whether or not these Bermudians were able to secure full or part-time employment, I can confirm that most persons have secured full-time employment. However, there was, of course, a mix. Regarding Senator Michelle Simmons's question about the minimum wage and the timeline for sharing in terms of next steps, I can confirm that we are actually waiting for the second report, which is due back in March, and at that point we will be better able to advise. Again, regarding the graduate training program, this is actually an initiative that we will further explore with the youth employment strategy, and so we'll be able to provide the particulars in the new year. However, it is very likely that the program will continue. At this time, we currently have the 10 trainees due to participate with the second cohort, and I will confirm the exact dates just so that we have a better appreciation. Senator Tucker had some questions about whether or not the graduates were placed in their area. And of course, this is a concern that we hear quite often in terms of our students getting the best experience possible. And of course, we do work hard to ensure that we can place them in the best place, but there are instances where they may go to an alternative location. However, there are skill sets that can be developed in most of these positions that can be transferred to their, I guess, respective area of expertise or study. I have personally seen the partnerships between the ministry and the high schools, the guidance counselors, and all those entities working hard. But again, it depends on the availability of an opportunity in that particular arena. And so the ministry does do their best to ensure that students have the best experience. And this goes for the graduates, as well as, the high school students. I am still waiting for further clarity regarding Senator's White question and the unemployment benefit. So if you can give me some time to prepare that, or in the meantime, we can go forward.
Senator Ben Smith, you have a supplementary or second question?
Supplementary. Thank you, Madam President. So on my initial question about the 747 unemployed Bermudians that were employed, obviously that's a period when phase 1 was implemented to present. If the junior minister can let us know, the 747 would have been at the peak when everybody was employed. Can she give us the number that it is today, the number of those unemployed Bermudians that are employed today? Because as she said, some were part-time, some were full-time. It would just help us to understand whether we have continued to have these Bermudians employed.
Thank you, Senator Ben Smith.
And Madam President, of course, I wouldn't have those details at the moment, so I can endeavor to get those answers as well.
Thank you. So we will,
Second
Senator Ben
question.
Smith, second question.
Thank you, Madam President. So, Madam President, on page 10, the junior minister refers to the the moratorium for new work permits, 41 additional occupations, which takes the total to 53. Can the junior minister give us a breakdown of how many Bermudians have been hired in each of these closed categories since this moratorium has been put in place, so that we can have an understanding whether this has had a positive impact to not just create an opportunity, but turn the opportunity into employment in each of the categories so that we can see the success rate? Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Ben Smith.
Again, Madam President, those are figures that I would have to confirm with the ministry.
So you're endeavoring to get the information for the senators later. Thank you very much, senators. Oh, Senator Robin Tucker. You can have a supplementary question on which of you pose 3. Yeah, on senators, I beg your pardon. On Senator Ben Smith's, you certainly may.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. The supplementary question relates to, again, the facilitated employment of 747 unemployed Bermudians. The junior minister did mention, obviously, that those people are employed. I'm just curious as to how many of those people have been confirmed in their employment. So in other words, how many have passed probation? Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Robin Tucker. Senator Ben Smith.
Yes, as the junior minister is looking to get the answer to my questions on page 10, I ask a further supplementary question, as it's going to take her some time to get those figures. Specifically, training in those closed categories. What is the training has training been provided for all 53 of those occupations? How many people have participated in the training for those occupations that has then led to employment? Just so that we have kind of full idea that we've closed categories and this is the result of closing those categories, so that we know that it's a successful program to close categories, what the impact is, so that when the decision is made in the future, it's based off of the data that we've collected during this period. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Ben Smith. Senator Ariana Hudson has agreed to obtain that information.
Madam President, at this time, we actually do not track that information. And regarding the Bermudians hired in the particular categories, of course, we would have to wait until the results of the next employment survey to confirm that information.
Thank you.
Sorry, Madam President. I also just wanted to let Senator White know that this supplemental unemployment benefit, this would actually come under the Finance Ministry, and so I can endeavor to provide some more clarity from that ministry.
Thank you, Senator Hudson. I see Senator Marcus Jones has raised his hand first. Senator Jones, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Supplementary to Senator Ben Smith's question and the answer that was given him in regards to the junior minister not being able, stating to us that these numbers aren't tracked, that being the jobs. Can the junior minister give us an indication of how her ministry measures success if these numbers are not tracked? I think that's very important. I believe the public would demand to know how this government, and particularly this ministry, measures success.
Thank you, Senator Jones. Senator Hudson, are you getting the information now, or you want to provide it later?
sorry, I did misspeak, and I just wanted to provide some clarity to Senator White.
Mhm.
And so I did say that the supplemental unemployment benefit was not under us, but I did want to provide clarity that it was the unemployment benefit that resulted in the loss of revenue for the government, and that is actually under the Ministry of Finance. With regards to Senator Marcus Jones' question, I will endeavor to provide a response before the end of the session.
Thank you. With that said, senators, since Senator Ariana Hudson has indicated she will obtain the information before the end of the session, we will move on then to the second statement, which was in the name of Senator Curtis Richardson, the Junior Minister for Transport. Would any senator care to ask questions on this statement? Hearing none. We will then move on to the third statement, the ministerial statement that was given by the Junior Minister of Education, Senator Owen Darrell. And this has to do with the History and Legacy Committee. Would any senator care to ask questions on this statement? Hearing none. Comprehensive statement. Senator Darrell. We will now then move on introduction of bills. There are none. First reading of, I've done that, sorry. Orders of the day, we've now reached orders of the day. And the first order of the day is the consideration of the draft order entitled the Tourism Investment, the Lauren at Pink Beach Order 2021. Senator O.K. Darrell, Junior Minister for Tourism, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I move that Standing Order 71-2 be suspended so that the Senate may now proceed with the consideration of the tourism investment, the Lauren at Pink Beach Order 2021.
Is there any objection to that motion? No objection. Carry on, Senator Darrell.
Madam President, I move that the Senate do now take under consideration the draft order entitled the Tourism Investment, the Lauren at Pink Beach Order 2021.
Is there any objection to that motion? No objection.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, the purpose of bringing this tourism investment, the Lauren at Pink Beach Order 2021, before this honorable House is to enable the grant of tax relief to the developers investing in the tourism product, the Lauren at Pink Beach, Sardis Development Limited, which is in the national economic interest of Bermuda. Madam President, honorable members will recall the Tourism Investment Act 2017, the Act, became operative in November 2017. The primary objective of the Act is to make Bermuda more attractive to foreign investors and to incentivize and assist local tourism-related business owners to reinvest in their product. The Tourism Investment Act provides a scale of tax relief that can be accessed by developers through the grant of an order approved by the House. As background, Madam President, the Lauren at Pink Beach is located at 116 South Shore Road, Tuckerstown, Smiths, on 8 acres of coastal landscape formerly occupied by the Pink Beach Club. Sardis Development Limited Incorporated in Bermuda on February 14, 2014, and amalgamated with Pink Beach Hotel Limited on March 6, 2014. Sardis is controlled by C12 Capital Management, a privately held investment company founded in 1929 by Stephen King. Madam President, the Lauren at Pink Beach is a 5-star luxury boutique hotel, which includes 37 hotel suites, a restaurant, lounge, and a full spa. In addition to the 37 hotel suites, the Lauren at Pink Beach offers guest accommodations at 7 villas and a private residence. The residence sits on 5.5 acres of waterfront land and includes 6 bedrooms, 8 ensuite bathrooms, and a 2-bedroom staff cottage. Villas 1, 2, 3, and 7 each consist of a 2-story, 4-bedroom, 4.5-bathroom villa with a pool and detached garage. Villas 4, 5, and 6 each consist of a 2-story, 3-bedroom, 3.5-bedroom villa with a plunge pool and a detached garage. All aspects of this development were completed in 2019. Madam President, Saudi's Development Limited was granted a hotels concession order, hotels concession Pink Beach Hotel order, in March 2015. The total value of concessions available to Pink Beach is $7.59 million. As per the order, Saudi's is entitled to 1, full relief from customs duty until a year after the hotel's opening date. Full exemption from land tax for 5 years from the hotel's opening date for an amount not exceeding $105,977 each year of assessment. Full exemption from hotel occupancy tax. Hotel occupancy tax 1 for 5 years from the hotel's opening date for an amount equal to the sum expended by the hotel on marketing the hotel redevelopment up to an amount not exceeding $1.2 million in the first year of assessment and up to an amount not exceeding $1 million in the remaining 4 years of assessment. Full exemption from hotel occupancy tax 2 for 5 years from the hotel's opening date for amount equal the sum expended by the hotel on entertainment provided by Bermudian entertainers for the amount not exceeding $250,000 in each year of assessment, and full exemption from the employer's share of payroll tax for 5 years from the hotel's opening date for an amount equal to the sum expended by the hotel on training Bermudian employees of the hotel for an amount not exceeding $120,000 in each year of assessment. Madam President, in November 2019, the Tourism Investment Act 2017 was amended so that it applied to specific hotel developments presently using a hotel's concession order made under the Hotels Concession Act of 2000. On the 9th of December 2020, Saudi's Development Limited submitted an application for a tourism investment order for the Lauren at Pink Beach. As previously stated, the Pink Beach Club was purchased in 2014 for $14 million. To date, the total investment by Saudi's Development Limited has been $79,322,160. In accordance with the definition of a new hotel, as per the Tourism Investment Act 2017, this application meets the criteria for a new hotel. Madam President, I draw your attention to an important caveat. The Tourism Investment Amendment Act requires the tax relief already received by a Lauren at Pink Beach pursuant to the Hotels Concession Act to be taken into account. This is to ensure that the period for which tax relief is granted pursuant to the Tourism Investment Act does not exceed the relevant period, in this case, 10 years. Madam President, in meeting the criteria of a new hotel, the Act allows for the Lauren at Pink Beach to receive full exemption from hotel occupancy tax, otherwise payable in respect of the hotels for a period of 5 years from the date that this order comes into operation. Full exemption from the employer's share of the payroll tax, otherwise payable in respect of persons employed by the hotel for a period of 5 years from the date this order comes into operation. To qualify for this exemption, the minister responsible for workforce development shall, for the period for which the exemption is claimed, confirm in writing to the minister responsible for tourism annually that a management trainee program for Bermudians is in operation at the Lauren at Pink Beach. Madam President, the Lauren at Pink Beach takes pride in providing various training programs to ensure employees are constantly learning the best practices and procedures to manage the daily responsibilities in a luxury property. It is envisioned that between the years 2021 to 2025, the ratio of locals to internationals employed at the Lauren will be 7-3, 70% locals and 30% internationals. As business is expected to recover, the company envisions a team of 110 staff members during this time period. Training programs focus on promoting individuals from line positions to middle management, as well as middle management to senior management positions. The training hierarchy includes an individual development training, leadership development training, management development training. Training courses offered in management development include timekeeping and organizational skills, top-tier customer service, leadership training, train the trainer, and luxury brand management. Madam President, this government is pleased to work with Sardius Development Limited to ensure that our tourism product is constantly being refreshed so as to remain on the cutting edge of the hospitality industry. The Tourism Investment Act 2017 provides means to an end. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Owen Darrell, Junior Minister for Tourism. Would any senator care to speak on this bill? Senator Marcus Jones, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the Junior Minister for bringing this piece of legislation to these chambers. I think it's a very timely and important bill for especially the Lauren, which I've had the pleasure of taking my wife to, and we had a very enjoyable meal. It is promoted as a 5-star product in this country, and I can attest to the fact that the services and the facility that we had at our disposal surely does meet the standards of a 5-star operation. I'd also like to give special thanks to Mr. Stephen King, the owner and developer of this property, who has shown to us in Bermuda his confidence in the future, not only in the present, but in the future successes of our tourism product. It says a lot when an owner and developer can put the money where their mouth is and demonstrate to us, and he has demonstrated to us to the tune of $79 million of development monies into that property. I believe that we as a collective in this country can applaud the proof of confidence in this country, especially within its tourism industry, that Mr. King has demonstrated. Madam President, I can say now that we as senators on this side of the aisle, as well as the other side, have been doing this job for the last year as senators. I'm sure that my government senator counterparts can attest to the fact that if nothing else, we on this side of the aisle have been extremely predictable in the questions that we ask. There are some things that we look forward to when we deliberate on these bills, and even when we listen to statements. I will say to you quite candidly, Madam President, that we are very much concerned about accountability. We are very much concerned about data-driven policies and legislation and its respective follow-up when it comes to data. And we're also very keen on when the government is putting together legislation that there has been diligent consultation with stakeholders around the community. That is definitely the 3 objectives that we as a team on this side of the aisle look forward to. So when I read this bill, Madam President, I was moved to go back to the genesis of what drove Bermuda to wade into the waters of, shall we call it, corporate welfare for our developers, specifically in the area and the realm of tourism, where we want to entice and encourage and attract foreign investors to come to Bermuda to upgrade and to, in fact, spend their monies and their capital on improving the tourism product. Allow me, Madam President, to go back in time. I remember very clearly when the PLP government when the PLP party first became the government back in 1998. I remember at that time, their first Minister of Tourism happened to be the illustrious, colorful Mr. David Allen. And one of the first pieces of legislation, which I will submit to you was groundbreaking, was the Hotel Concessions Act of 2000. And the objective and purposes of that particular bill was not that much different in the purposes of this bill that sits before us today. We find out that Hotel Concessions Act of 2000, its purpose was to encourage hotel development by providing relief from customs duty and exemption from certain other taxes and by removing certain restrictions on companies holding interests in land. Now, Madam President, as I said earlier, that particular piece of legislation was groundbreaking, very much like the groundbreaking legislation that PLP government brought in, for example, for the National Pension Scheme. I'm sure, Madam President, you remember that bill when it came through. I believe it was in 1999. So these were bills that changed the course of the direction of this industry, which we call tourism. Now, there were certain criteria placed on that particular legislation for hotel developers. For one, it had to be a licensed hotel. Now, if you go back in time, you remember that the heyday of Bermuda's tourism industry was in the 80s and the 90s. At that time, we had over 100 licensed hotels, guest houses, small hotels, medium-sized hotels. We had over 100 licensed. Madam President, I will submit to you that right now in 2021, that we have less than 40 licensed tourism accommodations in this country. That's staggering. Now, one of the things that propelled the government of the day back in 2000 to enact this particular legislation was to encourage and to sort of spice up the industry. We know that in Disneyland, every year they have new attractions. That's part of the allure of going to Disney World. Well, in a tourism destination like Bermuda, you need new products. You need to keep it fresh. And so that is part of the reason why this particular hotel concession was put into place. Now, there was a number of different criteria, which many of, I think, my fellow colleagues would be pretty surprised about, in fact, encouraged about, that government at the time, that administration at the time, placed on hotel developers. Not only will they be getting concessions, but there were certain things that the Bermudian people and its government was going to get back in return, which made for a win-win situation for both parties. These products, these facilities that had to be developed, they included, they had to be facilities that was able to house staff, Bermudian staff there. The development had to be substantial, right? So that meant that there was a certain amount of money that developer had to commit to paying, bringing into the island. It had to be of national interest, of national importance. It would had to have created employment and entrepreneurial opportunities for Bermudians. And another thing about this concession, it had a time limit. It had 5 years. That was the limitations to that particular concession. Now, we advance to the year 2015 when the Pink Beach had their Concessions Act. There were certain conditions that they had to complete and satisfy the Ministry of Tourism. They had to be able to spend equal sums of money that they would get in relief towards marketing, which was a great bonus for, at the time, the Ministry of Tourism, who wanted each hotel as much as possible to partner with the government's and that ministry's overall marketing strategy. They had to comply with certain marketing strategies that the ministry put forward. Here's the key. And today we have in our midst the son of a very famous and well-known local musician here on the island, none other than Hubie Smith. His son now sits as the Senate leader on this side of the House. And one of his contributions to that particular concession was to make it mandatory that these hotels that was able to benefit from these concessions had to employ Bermudian entertainers. That was one of the conditions. And they had to provide audited statements that provided the dollars and cents of which each hotel contributed or paid within that calendar year towards entertainment. Why am I raising these issues? And they're pretty detailed and they're pretty, and one may say and suggest tedious, but it's important for us to see how this Concessions Act started and where it has ended up today. So you can see, Madam President, there were a number of conditions that were required in order for these hotels and these developers to earn the right to get these exemptions. Now, here we have this particular tourism investment, the Lauren at Pink Beach Order 2021. They, if signed off by these Senate chambers, will get the privilege of having an exemption of payroll tax and occupancy tax. Now, Madam President, having listened to me give a long laundry list of all the criteria that was required for developers and hoteliers to be able to qualify for these exemptions back in the year 2000, we now are here at 2021, and the one and only requirement that the hotels that are qualified to gain these exemptions, they have to confirm in writing to the minister annually that a management training program for Bermudians is in operation. That's it, Madam President. No proof that they've employed Bermudian entertainers. No proof in an audited statement of how much money that they spent in marketing their product, which helps this country sell itself. None whatsoever, Madam President. Just a paper that states that they plan to do a management training program in order to qualify for these exemptions. Using that as context and a backdrop, Madam President, I have a few questions that I would have for the junior minister if he can enlighten us. Question one, as this is the second extension given to the Lauren for concessions on occupancy and payroll tax exemptions for an additional 5 years, as per the Hotel Concessions Act of 2000, of which the Lauren was able to be granted an order in 2015, will this be the last extension offered the Lauren? Number two, since written proof of an active management training program is the only condition required to be eligible for this concession, can the junior minister provide the numbers of Bermudian employees since the Lauren applied for renewal of these exemptions in December 2020 that are enrolled and actively being trained in this management program? And with that, the associated cost and expenses that that hotel has incurred to bring about that management training program. Number three, can the junior minister provide an explanation why an application for the renewal of a concession order would take a year? Now, we understand that this application was submitted in December of 2020. I would find it odd that it would take a year for that request to be made and then tabled in this House, especially because, especially since this hotel has invested $79 million of development into this country. It has a workforce of over 100 people. Surely this government can give us some explanation why it took so long for this application to go from draft stage to actual implementation and being tabled in this House. And can the general minister provide an explanation why so many useful and critical conditions were removed from the original hotel concession order. As you, I'm sure you took note of the long list of requirements and conditions that was made mandatory for the original concession. Why is there just one major requirement in order for a hotel and a developer of this size that's going to provide national importance to the development of its tourism product? Why the criteria has changed? And with those words and those questions, I thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Marcus Jones. Would any other senator? Senator John White, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Let me start by saying that I'm fully supportive of this legislation. I thank the Junior Minister for bringing this forward to the Senate. I think that tourism, as we all know, is critical to the future of Bermuda's economy. Tourism is critical to Bermuda employment. Bermuda desperately needs new product, and this is certainly high-end new product. The number of beds we have in Bermuda also aligns with the airlift that is important for airlines to see. So the more people that we have coming to Bermuda, whether it be tourism or international business, this generates additional airlift. So to me, this ticks all the important boxes. So I'm fully supportive of this legislation. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator John White. Would any other senator care to speak on this bill? Senator Michelle Simmons, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll be very brief. I want to thank the Junior Minister for bringing this to the Senate, and I'd like to confirm that I too support this bill. We've already seen what has been accomplished at the Lauren over the past several years, and it certainly is in Bermuda's best interest to encourage the investment company, Sardis, to continue to redevelop and to enhance the facility. The Lauren at Pink Beach is a signature property, and I believe that this tourism investment order is going to help to move them further forward. So, Madam President, I'm in full support, and I look forward to seeing the management trainees who will be advancing in their careers. Thank you very much, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Michelle Simmons. Would any other senator care to speak on this bill? Hearing none, then Senator Darrow, it's over to you.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you for the comments of my fellow senators. Just to respond to one particular question that I can't answer for, Senator Jones. He asked, why did this take a year? The application for the tourism investment order was submitted to the Cabinet Office on December 9th, 2020. The hotel's concession, Pink Beach Hotel Order 2015, provides relief for 5 years from the first period, which was January 2017 to December 31st, 2017, to the fifth and final period of January 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2021. So the tourism investment order will become operative on January 1st, 2022. For his other questions as to, I think it was the number of employees that are currently training and at the Lauren. I did have the number of employees that are currently there, but specifically training, I'm waiting for that answer. And will this be the last of the extensions? I think that's hard to tell. It's like looking at a crystal ball into the future. I'm sure when Minister Allen back in 2000 put the Concessions Act in place, I'm not sure that he envisioned that we'd still have a necessity 21 years later. But because of different circumstances and different, I guess, projections of where we want tourism to go, sometimes concessions and other acts of government are necessary. So it's hard to answer that question as to will this be the last. But in 2021, the Lauren employed 98 Bermudians. 71% were Bermudian. Like I said, I'll have to dig down a little deeper to see how many of those are actually in currently training. And one more question that I think was posed by the senator was, how would we? I think the question was he was getting at was how would we be holding the Lauren accountable for that they are doing what they said they are going to do. And I think that remit will come under the Department of Workforce Development. Once that letter is then written to the minister, I think they have mechanisms in place where they send, they're not investigators, I guess we'll call them caseworkers, investigators, maybe what we would call it, people doing inspections to see that they are indeed coming onto that. But that's not specifically laid out here, but I can take that back and ask for further clarity on that. Okay. If I do get the number one training shortly, I will pass it along, but it is being looked into specific Bermudians that are currently being trained. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator. You will now move.
Madam President, I now move that the said draft order be approved and the following message be sent to Her Excellency the Governor.
Is there any objection to that motion? No objection.
May it please you, Your Excellency, the Senate, having had under consideration the draft order entitled the Tourism Investment, the Lauren at Pink Beach Order 2021, proposed to be made by the Minister responsible for tourism, with written agreement by the Minister of Finance under the provisions of Section 5 of the Tourism Investment Act 2017, has the honor to inform Your Excellency that the Senate has approved the said draft order.
Thank you. The message will be sent. Thank you, Senator Darrow, and thank you, all senators. We now move on to the second item on our orders of the day, and that is consideration of the draft order entitled the Public Health COVID-19 Emergency Extension Number 7 Order. And this is in the name of Senator Ariana Hudson, the Junior Minister for Health. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I move that Standing Order 71-2 be suspended so that Senate may now proceed with consideration of the Public Health COVID-19 Emergency Extension Number 7 Order 2021.
Is there any objection to that motion? No objection.
Thank you,
Okay,
Madam
one second.
President. I move that the Senate do now take under consideration the draft order entitled the Public Health COVID-19 Emergency Extension Number 7 Order 2021.
Is there any objection to that motion? No objection.
Madam President, I am pleased to invite this honorable chamber to consider the order entitled Public Health COVID-19 Emergency Extension Number 7 Order 2021. Madam President, members will be aware the current public health emergency order is scheduled to lapse on the 28th of January 2022. The emergency orders, which have been in place since the 30th of June 2020, following the state of emergency put in place on the 1st of April 2020, are made pursuant to Section 107A of the Public Health Act 1949 and declare that a public health emergency exists in Bermuda due to a communicable disease that poses a threat to the island. We live on a very small island, and as we know from previous outbreaks, the coronavirus that causes the disease COVID-19 spreads quickly and negatively impacts the whole community. We can slow the spread of the virus by following basic public health advice of wearing a mask to cover our nose and mouth, as well as physically distancing, practicing good hand hygiene, and downloading the WeHealth Bermuda app. We can also avoid the 3 C's of closed spaces, crowded places, and close contact settings. In addition, Madam President, we are fortunate in that the COVID-19 vaccine is available to any resident who wants it. As a reminder, this includes booster vaccines for all those who are 18 years old and older, as well as healthcare workers, essential and critical service workers, those with chronic conditions over the ages of 12, and pregnant women. To receive a booster, you must have had your second dose at least 6 months prior. To make an appointment for a first, second, or booster jab, go to gov.bm. As has been said many times, vaccines save lives. The 2-dose Pfizer vaccine has been shown to be 95% effective in randomized trials. Even with the highly transmissible Delta variant, the vaccine's effectiveness remained high, and early indications suggest a booster jab of Pfizer provides a good defense against the newest variant of concern, Omicron. This means that as a fully vaccinated person, you can still test positive and still contract COVID-19, but you are less likely to get severely ill, less likely to end up in the hospital, and less likely to die. Our own data has shown this to be true. Madam President, this does not mean there is zero risk involved. Even if fully vaccinated, your own personal health is a key factor in determining whether you will get ill with COVID-19, and if you do, whether you are predisposed to become ill enough to be hospitalized or to die. Madam President, it is clear we must all learn how to live with COVID-19 because it will be with us for a long time, both locally and globally. However, and this cannot be said too many times, success in dealing with COVID-19 requires a community effort. It is a community effort because this is one of the few situations where an individual's decision to adhere to public health measures or not impacts all of us. In this pandemic, individual decisions can and do have island-wide consequences. This is not the same as choosing not to wear a helmet or choosing not to use your seatbelt, where the person you are most likely to harm is yourself. Failure to follow public health measures has a far greater impact as the virus spreads quickly throughout our island home, affecting families, schools, businesses, and more. Madam President, the Minister of Health consulted with the Chief Medical Officer and determined that a communicable disease of the first category, namely COVID-19 and its variants of concern, continues to pose a severe threat to public health in Bermuda. To control and contain the spread of infection, public health measures, such as those provided for in regulations made under Section 107B of the Public Health Act 1949, will continue to be relevant and necessary beyond the 20th of January 2022. This order before us now will extend the Public Health COVID-19 Emergency Order 2021 made under Section 107A of the Public Health Act 1949 and empower the governor to continue the provision of the Public Health COVID-19 Emergency Powers Regulations 2021, which impose extraordinary measures necessary in the interest of public health to prevent, control, and suppress COVID-19. Madam President, honorable senators will be aware that the Public Health COVID-19 Emergency Extension Order Number 6, 2021 was made under the affirmative resolution procedure effective 29th of November 2021 for 60 days expiring on the 20th of January 2022 when Parliament is not in session. We know the COVID-19 pandemic continues to rage on globally, exacerbated by a new variant of concern, Omicron, which has reached Bermuda. We also know a public health emergency will continue to exist on our island beyond the 20th of January 2022. Therefore, in accordance with Sections 107A3 and 4 of the Public Health Act 1949, I bring the Public Health COVID-19 Emergency Extension Number 7 Order 2021 to this honorable chamber to seek approval for the extension of the public health emergency for a further 30 days ending on the 27th of February 2022. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Ariana Hudson, Junior Minister for Health. Would any senator care to speak on this bill? Senator Robin Tucker, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Certainly, we in the opposition are in support of this extension and this bill. I do want to say, though, that I am hopeful that people will adhere to the public health guidance and will seek credible information from credible sources. Clearly, we're entering into a Christmas holiday where we'll have people traveling in and out and so on. And so it is hopeful that we'll get to a place eventually where these emergency extensions will no longer be available, no longer necessary. But in order to do that, we all have to follow the public health guidance. So with that said, Madam President, again, there's no objection to this bill. Thank you, this extension rather. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Robin Tucker. Would any other senator care to speak on this order? Hearing none, Senator Hudson, you have full support of the Senate. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the said draft order be approved and that the following message be sent to Her Excellency, the Governor. May it please Your Excellency, the Senate, having had under consideration the draft order entitled the Public Health COVID-19 Emergency Extension Number 7 Order 2021, proposed to be made by the Minister responsible for health under the provisions of Section 107A of the Public Health Act 1949, has the honor to inform Your Excellency that the Senate has approved the said draft order.
Thank you, Senator Ariana Hudson.
Thank you.
And thank you all senators. No objection to the message being sent? No. Thank you. The message will be sent. Thank you. Move on to item number 3 on our orders of the day, and that is the Insurance Amendment Act 2021, and that is also in the name of Senator Ariana Hudson, the Junior Minister for Finance.
Thank you, Madam President. Before going forward, I would like to make a motion for the grant of provision of Standing Order 25 for all 4.
Is there any objection to that motion? No objection.
Thank you, Madam
Carry on.
President. I move that the provisions of Standing Order 25 be granted so that the Senate may now proceed with the second reading of the bills entitled the Insurance Amendment Act 2021, the Companies Amendment and Validation Act 2021, the Bermuda Monetary Authority Amendment Number 2 Act 2021, and the Customs Tariff Amendment Number 2 Act 2021.
Is there any objection to that motion? Moving all 4? None. Thank you, Senator Ariana Hudson. You can carry on.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I move that the bill entitled the Insurance Amendment Act 2021 be now read a second time.
Is there any objection to that motion? No objection.
Madam President, the purpose of the bill entitled the Insurance Amendment Act 2021 is to amend the Insurance Act 1978 to provide for matters related to internationally active insurance groups. Madam President, Bermuda's financial services sector is subject to the regulation and supervision of the Bermuda Monetary Authority. The authority was established in 1969 under the Bermuda Monetary Authority Act 1969. The Insurance Act 1978 provides the authority with substantive licensing, supervision, and intervention powers to regulate the insurance industry in Bermuda. Madam President, the licensing and supervisory process is prescribed by law and supplemented by subsidiary legislation and guidance notes. These detail the classes of license based on the nature of the business and related risk, reported requirements, statutory financial statement filings, and vetting of controller shareholders, amongst other aspects. Madam President, in furtherance of the above, the House will be aware that the authority is a member of the International Association of Insurance Supervisors. Presently, the Chief Actuary serves as a member of the IAIS Executive Committee, while other senior members of the authority serve as chairs and vice chairs of several subcommittees, including but not limited to the following: the Macro-Prudential Committee, the Insurance Capital Standard and Comparability Task Force, and the Policy Development Committee. Madam President, by way of background, the House is advised that the IAIS is a voluntary membership organization of insurance supervisors and regulators from around the globe. Established in 1994, the IAIS is the primary international standard-setting body responsible for developing and assisting in the implementation of supervisory material for insurance supervision. Madam President, by way of explanation, the IAIS has issued Insurance Core Principles, or ICPs, to encourage member jurisdictions to maintain high supervisory standards. The ICPs establish the minimum requirements for effective supervision and are expected to be implemented and applied in a proportionate manner. In addition, the ICPs are applicable to the supervisor of all insurers within a jurisdiction. Accordingly, the IAIS strongly encourages implementation of the ICPs as a means to ensure that each jurisdiction has a framework for effective supervision. Madam President, the IAIS Common Framework provides quantitative and qualitative supervisory requirements tailored to the international activity and size of internationally active insurance groups. ComFrame 23 provides that a group-wide supervisor, in cooperation with other involved supervisors, determines whether an insurance group or an insurance legal entity operating through branches is an IAIG after considering whether it meets both of the following criteria: internationally active, where premiums are written in 3 or more jurisdictions, including Bermuda, and gross written premiums outside of the home jurisdiction are at least 10% of the group's total gross written premiums. Size, based on a 3-year rolling average, where total assets are at least $50 billion, or total gross written premiums are at least $10 billion. It is expected that the group will be required to substantially meet all criteria in the definition. Madam President, in addition to the above, ComFrame 23 provides that a group-wide supervisor is required to identify the head of an IAIG on a control and risk basis as follows: the legal entity which controls all of the insurance legal entities within the
Right.
group, and the non-insurance legal entities which pose a risk to the insurance operations. This approach is designed to ensure that there are no gaps or unnecessary duplication in supervision among jurisdictions. Madam President, Part 4 of the Act covers matters related to insurance group supervision. Presently, this part of the Act does not provide for matters related to internationally active insurance groups. Recognizing the need to put in place a framework that provides for such powers, the 1978 Act will be amended as a consequence of this proposal as follows. Section 6A of the Act will be amended by granting the authority a power to make rules regarding internationally active insurance groups, and a new Section 27H will be added to the Act to provide for the manner in which the authority may determine that an insurance group, of which it is the current supervisor, shall also qualify to be registered by the authority as an internationally active insurance group. Madam President, the authority will be required to initially consult with the other supervisors of the insurance group, and once agreement has been reached, the authority is required to notify the insurance group of its intention to make a determination. The insurance group shall then be allowed to make written representations to the authority, and the authority shall take such representations into account when making its final determination. Additionally, the authority shall be required to publish a list of all internationally active insurance groups on its website at www.bma.bm. Madam President, in addition to the changes to the Act, further details will be set out in rules together with guidance notes. As per the authority's normal custom and practice, all rules and guidance documents will also be subject to public consultation in due course. Madam President, the House is advised that the consultation process commenced in December 2020 by a publication of the consultation paper entitled Introduction of the Concept of Internationally Active Insurance Group Proposal, together with the draft bill. In accordance with the authority's normal custom and practice, a stakeholder response letter was published in February 2021 on the authority's website. The House is advised that there were no material objections raised to the proposal. Madam President, these amendments represent a collaborative effort between the authority and various industry stakeholders. I would like to thank all of those persons within the authority, the Attorney General's chambers, the Ministry of Finance, and the private sector who have all assisted with the development of this bill. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Ariana Hudson, Junior Minister of Finance. Would any senator care to speak on this bill? Senator Marcus Jones, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. As Bermuda's local insurance companies do business in multi-jurisdictions, it is important that the Bermuda Monetary Authority be able to give these companies the authority to function as an internationally active insurance group. This legislation is administrative in nature and its importance, and the opposition supports it. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Marcus Jones. Would any other senator care to speak on this bill? Hearing none, then Senator Hudson, it's back over to you.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the bill entitled the Insurance Amendment Act 2021 be now read a second time.
Is there any objection to that motion? No objection.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the bill entitled the Insurance Amendment Act 2021, Madam President, I move that Rule 26 be suspended in respect of this bill.
Is there any objection to that motion? No objection.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the bill entitled the Insurance Amendment Act 2021 be now read a third time.
Is there any objection to the third reading? No objection.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the bill do now pass.
It has been moved that the bill entitled the Insurance Amendment Act 2021 do now pass. Is there an objection to that bill, to that motion? No objection. The bill is passed. Thank you,
Madam
Senator
President.
Ariana Hudson. We now move on to the third item on our orders of the day, and that is, sorry, I beg your pardon, I ticked the wrong one. The fourth item on our agenda, the Companies Amendment and Validation Act 2021, and that is also in the name of Senator Ariana Hudson, the Junior Minister for Finance. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I move that the bill entitled the Companies Amendment and Validation Act 2021 be now read a second time.
Is there any objection to that motion? No objection.
Thank you, Madam President. The bill before the House is the Companies Amendment and Validation Act 2021. The principal aim of this bill is to make two amendments to the Companies Act 1981. Madam President, the first amendment relates to Section 29 of the Companies Act, which was inadvertently repealed in its entirety by the Digital Asset Issuance Act 2020 in consequence of the repeal of the definition of appointed digital asset exchange. Prior to the repeal of Section 2.9, it provided the minister may appoint a stock exchange or digital asset exchange and shall cause the appointment to be published in an appointed newspaper. The intent of the digital asset issuance was to repeal only the words digital asset exchange of that subsection, not the whole subsection in its entirety. Madam President, I would like to pause here to explain that Section 2.1 of the Companies Act, stock exchange means any stock exchange that is appointed by the Minister of Finance under Section 2.9. There was no intent to remove the ability of the minister to appoint a stock exchange. Therefore, this bill reinstates Section 2.9 in its original form to enable the minister to appoint a stock exchange with retroactive effect from the 6th of May 2020, when that section was repealed. Madam President, it is important to reinstate Section 2.9 with retroactive effect from the 6th of May 2020 because the inadvertent repeal of that section was further complicated by the purported appointment of the Euronext Growth Oslo by way of a notice gazetted on the 15th of September 2021. This appointment has to be validated since the power to appoint a stock exchange by the Minister of Finance had been removed. Through consultation with the industry, the Registrar of Companies discovered that in reliance on the purported appointment of the Euronext Growth Oslo, certain law firms have been working with their clients and external clients on a listing for the Euronext Growth Oslo. Therefore, it is imperative to validate the appointment of the Euronext Growth Oslo. Madam President, the Second Amendment relates to the electronic service of documents on the members of a company. The Companies and Partnerships Electronic Registry Amendment Act 2020 was brought into force to facilitate the transition to an electronic registry system. The 2020 Act made provision for the filing with or issue by the Registrar of Companies of electronic records. Prior to the 2020 enactment, the Companies Act made provision for the effective use of electronic service of documents on the members of a company. Following the replacement of that provision, industry stakeholders have advised that it had been a useful tool for companies with large numbers of shareholders as it avoided cumbersome and costly mailings of hard copy documents. Therefore, this bill reinstates that provision with retroactive effect from the 31st of May 2021, the date the Companies and Partnerships Electronic Registry Amendment came into operation, so as not to prejudice any company which may have been relying on the old provisions without realizing they had been repealed. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Hudson. Would any senator care to speak on this bill? Senator Marcus Jones, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. We, the opposition, we support this amendment. We recognize that the purpose of this bill, of this amendment, was to fix a mistake made in a previous amendment that mistakenly removed the Minister of Finance's power to appoint a stock exchange and make regulations providing for electronic submission of documents, allowing for retroactive effect back to May of 2020. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Marcus Jones. Would any other senator care to speak on this bill? Hearing none, then Senator Hudson, back to you.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the bill entitled the Companies Amendment and Validation Act 2021 be now read a second time.
Is there any objection to that motion? No objection.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that Rule 26 be suspended in respect of this bill.
Is there any objection to that motion? No objection.
Madam President, I move that the bill entitled the Companies Amendment and Validation Act 2021 be now read a third time.
Is there any objection to the third reading? No objection.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the bill do now pass.
It has been moved that the bill entitled the Companies Amendment and Validation Act 2021 do not pass. Is there any objection to that motion? No objection. The bill is passed. Thank you, Senator Hardin and senators. We'll now move on to the fifth item, and that is your bill as well. Senator Ariana Hudson, when you're ready, you can start.
Thank you, Madam President.
Five.
I move that the bill entitled the Bermuda Monetary Authority Amendment Number 2 Act 2021 be now read a second time.
Is there any objection to that motion? No objection.
Thank you, Madam President. I am pleased to present the bill entitled the Bermuda Monetary Authority Amendment Number 2 Act 2021. The purpose of this bill is to provide for the following: to repeal and replace the fourth schedule of the Bermuda Monetary Authority Act 1969, to repeal and replace the second schedule of the Banks and Deposit Companies Fees Act 1975, to provide for an increase in the time for which the approved period of operation within the Innovation Hub may be extended, to empower the authority to impose a fine in relation to certain statutory requirements under the Investment Funds Act 2006, and to provide for related matters. Madam President, by way of background, the Bermuda Monetary Authority undertook a comprehensive review of its target operating model together with its fee structure in 2018. At the end of the review process, which culminated with a comprehensive stakeholder consultation process, the Bermuda Monetary Authority Amendment No. 3 Act 2018, which contained the fee schedules for the years 2019, 2020, and 2021, was passed by the legislature. Madam President, it is now intended that the fourth schedule of the Bermuda Monetary Act 1969 will be repealed and replaced with a schedule that provides for the level of fees that will be applicable, and the reference to a particular year will be removed. A similar exercise is also being done in relation to the Banks and Deposit Companies Fees Act 1975. Accordingly, the Bermuda Monetary Amendment No. 2 Act 2021 proposes to repeal and replace the second schedule of the Banks and Deposits Companies Fees Act 1975 by way of consequential amendments, notwithstanding that there will be no increases in fees payable thereunder. Madam President, in addition to the repeal and replacement of the fee schedules just noted, and based on a review conducted earlier this year, the authority observed that a small number of existing fees within the fourth schedule of the Bermuda Monetary Authority 1969 require alignment and/or additional precision. The authority also determined that some new fees were required in relation to certain applications. Madam President, Section 20B of the Act provides that the fees prescribed in the fourth schedule of the Bermuda Monetary Authority Act 1969 shall be paid by certain financial institutions in accordance with the legislation specified in the various heads of the fourth schedule to the Bermuda Monetary Authority. As noted above, the vast majority of the fees in force in 2021 will be retained in 2022. Madam President, the House is advised that the heads of the fourth schedule of the Bermuda Monetary Authority Act 1969, under which some minor changes to fees are proposed, are as follows: the Bermuda Monetary Authority Act 1969, the Corporate Service Provider Business Act 2012, the Insurance Act 1978, and the Investment Funds Act 2006. Madam President, a summary of the changes proposed in respect of specific 2021 fees is as follows. Firstly, fees related to the Corporate Service Provider Business Act 2012. Madam President, Section 13 of the Corporate Service Provider Business Act 2012 provides for matters related to annual licensing fees to be paid on or before the 31st of March in every year after the year in which the license was granted. The fees are determined by class of license, limited or unlimited, and also by the number of entities a corporate service provider services. Madam President, in 2021, as part of the three-year graduated fee structure, the annual fee bands applicable to corporate service providers servicing more than 2,000 entities, but not more than 3,000 entities, and those servicing more than 3,000 entities have been set at $90,000 and $120,000. However, due to a transposition error, were incorrectly set at $75,000 and $90,000 respectively. Accordingly, it is proposed to amend the Act to ensure alignment of the fees with those which were previously consulted upon with stakeholders. Secondly, the insurance fees. Madam President, the relevant changes to be made in this area are as follows. The application fee for innovative insurers will be revised in accordance with previous engagement with industry stakeholders from $630 to $800. Innovative insurers will also be required to pay the same fee to cover the cost of analysis provided by the authority. Notes relating to application fees for extension to submission deadlines for more than one filing will be clarified so that it is clear that only one fee is required. The scope fees related to extensions of filing deadlines will be expanded to include innovative insurers carrying on general business in an innovative and experimental manner. The present fee of $1,500 a month will remain unchanged. Fees related to filing deadlines for innovative insurers will no longer be applicable. The House is advised that innovative insurers will be able to apply for extensions to continue in the hub under the provisions regarding the Innovation Hub. Clause 2 of the bill covers matters related to the extension period being increased from 3 months to up to 12 months accordingly. Clause 5 of the bill addresses matters related to the fee increase regarding the Innovation Hub. The scope of application fees related to modifying loss reserve specialist opinions will be expanded to include innovative insurers carrying on general business in an innovative and experimental manner. The present fee of $1,000 will remain unchanged. Innovative intermediaries will now be required to pay a $3,000 registration fee to be registered under the Act.
Mhm. Okay.
Innovative insurers are being removed from annual filing fee provisions, and it is not meant for this group to be
Yes.
captured under the relevant provisions of the Act. As previously mentioned, innovative insurers will now be able to apply for an extension to utilize the Innovation Hub facility. Thirdly, the investment fund fees, Schedule 1 of the bill. Madam President, Clause 6 of the bill provides for consequential amendments to Section 17 of the Investment Funds Act 2006, the IFA, to clarify the applicability of certain fees. It is proposed to amend the IFA by clarifying that where a fund fails to comply with the deadline for certification and statement requirements imposed on it under the relevant sections of the IFA, the fund will be required to pay a late filing fee for every month, whether in whole or in part of the month, where such certification has not been submitted to the authority. The House is advised that the present late filing fee of $50 will remain unchanged. The amendments are set out in Schedule 1 to the bill. The fourth schedule of the Bermuda Monetary Authority Act 1969 will also be updated to reflect the changes. Fourthly, the Banks and Deposit Companies Fees Act 1975, Schedule 2 of the bill. Madam President, Clause 6 of the bill provides for consequential amendments to the Banks and Deposit Companies Fees Act 1975. The second schedule to the Banks and Deposit Companies Fees Act 1975 will be repealed and replaced without increasing the fees, as the provisions of the current second schedule, which currently refer specifically to fees payable in 2019, 2020, and 2021, shall cease to apply at the end of 2021. Madam President, key highlights of additional amendments are as follows. Section 20G of the Act covers matters related to Innovation Hub applications and requires persons to submit an application to the authority to request an extension of the initial approval. Presently, the authority may grant extensions for additional periods not exceeding 3 months. It is proposed to amend the Act to increase the time to the potential extension period of operation within the Innovation Hub for a period to up to 12 months. The House is advised there will also be a requirement to amend Section 20H to address the extension time period. Extension fees will be increased from $750 to $1,500 to reflect the increase in the time and effort to be committed by the authority. Application fees of $3,000 will remain unchanged. Entities utilizing the Innovation Hub may be approved for a period of 1 year from the outset, but they are not required to pay annual fees. Madam President, a floor amendment has been circulated for consideration by the members. This floor amendment will modify the Bermuda Monetary Authority Act 1969 to clarify the registration fee provision for innovative intermediaries. There will be no change to the registration fee, which is currently set at $3,000. Madam President, I wish to reiterate that the amendments will result in the establishment of fees that were the subject of previous engagements with industry and recent consultation with industry stakeholders. There were no material issues raised in relation to this process, which is not surprising given the nature of the changes. Madam President, it is important to note that the fees provided for by way of this bill support the continued effective operation of the Bermuda Monetary Authority, which performs a pivotal role in the financial services sector that is so vital to Bermuda's economy. The demands placed on the authority continue to increase due to growth in certain sectors and the assumption of new responsibilities, and it is important that fees appropriately reflect costs related to regulation. Madam President, by way of example, the investment fund sector, which the authority is responsible for overseeing, has seen the number of registrations increase from 629 in 2019 to 829 at the end of 2020. Similarly, within the insurance sector, the number of special purpose insurers has increased from 148 in 2019 to 165 in 2020. In a related sense, the Innovation Hub, which is a relatively new construct, saw the introduction of one approved insurer in 2019, but 4 approved insurers have already been granted entry into the Innovation Hub this year. These insurers are currently in the process of developing new products for the market. In 2019 and in 2020, 1 approved insurer was added to the insurance sandbox per year. In 2021, 3 new sandbox entrants have been approved, 2 being innovative insurance intermediaries and 1 being an innovative insurer. Madam President, in closing, I would like to thank the Bermuda Monetary Authority, the Attorney General's Chambers, and the Ministry of Finance for their assistance with this bill. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Ariana Hudson, Junior Minister for Finance. Would any senator care to speak on this bill? Senator Marcus Jones, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Here lies another bill, administrative in nature, that allows for repeal and replacement fee structures and all other housekeeping matters. We in the opposition, we agree and support this bill. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Jones. Would any other senator care to speak on this bill? No. Over to you then, Senator Ariana Hudson. You have support.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the bill entitled the Bermuda Monetary Authority Amendment Number 2 Act 2021 be now read a second time.
Is there any objection to that motion? No objection.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that Rule 26 be suspended in respect of this bill.
Is there any objection to that motion? No objection.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the bill entitled the Bermuda Monetary Authority Amendment Number 2 Act 2021 be now read a third time.
Is there any objection to the third reading? No objection.
Madam President, I move that the bill do now pass.
It has been moved that the bill entitled the Bermuda Monetary Authority Amendment Number 2 Act do now pass. Is there any objection to that motion? No objection. The bill is passed. Thank you, Senator Ariana Hudson and all senators. And Senator Ariana Hudson, I believe you have your final bill to present. You can begin when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the bill entitled the Customs Tariff Amendment Number 2 Act 2021 be now read a second time.
Is there any objection to that motion? No objection.
Thank you, Madam President. Honorable members are requested now to give consideration to the bill entitled the Customs Tariff Amendment Number 2 Act 2021. Madam President, this bill proposes to amend the Customs Tariff Act 1970 by replacing the first schedule. The purpose of this bill is to implement all of the 2022 amendments to the International Harmonized System nomenclature. Honorable members will recall that such an amendment to the first schedule to the Customs Tariff Act 1970 was last made in April 2017. At that time, all of the 2017 amendments to the HS nomenclature were implemented in Bermuda's national customs tariff. Madam President, the HS 2022, which is the 7th edition of the Harmonized System nomenclature, will be used worldwide for the uniform classification of trade goods. The HS serves as the basis for customs tariffs and for the compilation of international trade statistics in 211 economies. The new HS 2022 edition makes some 351 sets of amendments. Madam President, the major features of the HS 2022 amendments are adaptations to current trade through recognition of new product streams. Other significant changes address environmental and social issues of global concern. Madam President, visibility will be introduced to a number of high-profile product streams in the 2022 edition. This is done to take account of changing trade patterns. Electronic waste is one example of a product class which presents significant policy concerns as well as a high value of trade. Accordingly, HS 2022 includes specific provisions for its classification. Another example is fresh provision for new tobacco and nicotine-based products. The new provision makes classification of these products easier, trade statistics more visible, and recognizes the very high monetary value of trade in these goods. Aerial drones and smartphones are also given their own specific provisions for similar reasons. Madam President, major changes have been made to the classification of glass fibers and articles thereof, and for medical forming machinery. These changes recognize that the current subheadings do not adequately represent the technological advances in these sectors. Failure to take account of improvements in technology will cause classification difficulties and a lack of key trade statistics. Madam President, one area of growing interest is the classification of multi-purpose intermediate assemblies. Indeed, a very important example of such a product is addressed in HS 2022. Flat panel display modules will now be classified as a product in their own right. This will simplify classification of these modules by removing the need to identify final use. Madam President, health and safety has also featured in these changes. The classification of infectious disease diagnostic test kits has been simplified. This will help reduce delays in the deployment of tools for the rapid diagnosis of infectious diseases in outbreaks. New provisions have been made for placebos and clinical trial kits for medical research. This will enable classification without information on the ingredients in placebos, thereby facilitating cross-border medical research. Cell cultures and cell therapy are among the product classes that have gained new and specific provisions. On a human security level, a number of new provisions specifically provide for various dual-use goods. These range from toxins to laboratory equipment. As honorable members may be aware, dual-use goods are items that can be used for both civilian and military applications. These types of goods are normally heavily regulated. That is because they can be manufactured and traded for civilian use and then transformed for military purposes, or worse, used for terrorism. Madam President, the protection of society and the fight against terrorism are increasingly important roles for national customs authorities. Many new subheadings have therefore been created for dual-use goods that could be diverted for unauthorized use. Such goods include radioactive materials and biological safety cabinets, as well as items required for the construction of improvised explosive devices, such as detonators. Madam President, goods specifically controlled under various conventions has also been updated. The HS 2022 edition introduces new classifications for specific chemicals controlled under the Chemical Weapons Convention, certain hazardous chemicals controlled under the Rotterdam Convention, certain persistent organic pollutants controlled under the Stockholm Convention, and gases controlled under the Kigali Amendment of the Montreal Protocol. Furthermore, at the request of the International Narcotics Control Board, new subheadings have been introduced for the monitoring and control of fentanyls and their derivatives and precursors. Madam President, contracting parties to the HS Convention are expected to enact the HS 2022 amendments to their respective nomenclatures by the 1st of January 2022. However, it has been determined that for Bermuda, a non-contracting economy, it will be simpler administratively and more cost-effective to bring these changes into operation on the 1st of April 2022. However, by progressing legislation at this time, it allows for the effective consideration of these matters in the budget process. Madam President, in closing, my brief on the Customs Tariff Amendment Act Number 2 bill, I wish to note that these HS 2022 related changes to the Bermuda nomenclature shall be entirely revenue neutral. Further textual or duty rate changes as deemed appropriate will be proposed as part of the government's 2022-2023 budget. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Ariana Hudson, Junior Minister of Finance. Would any senator care to speak on this bill? Senator Marcus Jones, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. This Customs Tariff Amendment Number 2 Act of 2021 that allows for repeal and replace fee schedules for the Customs Tariff Act of 1970 is supported by the opposition. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Marcus Jones. Would any other senator care to speak on this bill? Hearing none, then Senator Hudson, it's over to you.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the bill entitled the Customs Tariff Amendment Number 2 Act 2021 be now read a second time.
Is there any objection to that motion? No objection.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that Rule 26 be suspended in respect of this bill.
Is there any objection to that motion? No objection.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the bill entitled the Customs Tariff Amendment Number 2 Act 2021 be now read a third time.
Is there any objection to the third reading? No objection.
Madam President, I move that the bill do now pass.
It has been moved that the bill entitled the Customs Tariff Amendment Number 2 Act 2021 do now pass. Is there any objection to that motion? No objection. The bill is passed. Thank you, Senator Ariana Hudson, and all senators for your support. We now move on to item number 14 on our agenda, motions. Senator Michelle Simmons. Vice
Thank you, Madam
of the
President.
Senate, you have the floor.
Thank you. Madam President, I move that the following message be sent to Her Excellency the Governor. May it please Your Excellency, the Senate has the honor to present its compliments to Your Excellency and family, and respectfully extends its greetings for a very happy Christmas and a prosperous New Year.
Is there any objection to that motion? No objection. A suitable message will be sent.
Thank you,
Thank
Madam
you.
President.
Senator Michelle Simmons, Vice President. And
I
believe
have
you
another motion, Madam President, if I
Indeed, you
may.
do. You certainly may. You have the floor.
Madam President, I move that the following message be sent to His Honor the Speaker and the Honorable House of Assembly. To his honor, the Speaker and members of the Honorable House of Assembly, the Senate has much pleasure in extending to your Honorable House sincere greetings for a very happy Christmas and a prosperous New Year.
Is there any objection to that motion? No objection. The suitable measures will be sent.
Thank you, Madam President.
And thank you, Senator Michelle Simmons, Vice President. We now move on to item number 15, congratulatory and or obituary speeches. Would any senator care to speak at this time? Senator Michelle Simmons, you have the floor.